This is Damon Amendolara from 98.5 The Sports Hub, and hopefully D.A. has a lot more to say than Bill Belichick does. We were really looking forward, D.A., to having you in a couple of weeks in a row here for the playoffs, but obviously that's not going to be the case. This one was really over really quickly. Your thoughts on what happened today?
There's no doubt this is the single worst performance we've ever seen from a Belichick team in the postseason. I mean, this is up there with the worst seasons of all time with the Patriots under Bill Belichick. In 2002, they missed the playoffs. Last year, they did as well, but, you know, last year was understandable in a lot of ways. In 2002 was a disappointment coming off the Super Bowl year. You could really say that 2009 was the biggest disappointment under Belichick since 2002. The biggest frustration today, which was shocking, was that the Patriots knew what the Ravens were going to do, and they still couldn't stop it. 235 yards on the ground, especially at the end of the first half, and when they led by a couple of scores to begin the fourth quarter. The Baltimore Ravens just continually lined up on third down and got the first downs by grinding out first downs on the ground. To me, you look within the Patriots franchise and say, is it time we start doing something a little bit different here? Because the Ravens knew what they wanted to do, you knew what they were going to do, and you still couldn't stop it.
Yeah, as we take a look at some of the stats here, the stat that obviously sticks out the most is the 234 to 64 yards in the rushing category. I mean, everything else sort of even except for that stat on the top, the score. Now, Flacco, 34 yards passing in a win. I mean, I got to check the stat, but I'm assuming that that's got to be an NFL record for winning a game and only throwing for 34 yards passing. And we're also going to talk about Brady as the show goes on, and we're going to hear from Tom as well about his health. Talk about the quarterbacks.
Well, let's face it, Tom Brady did not have a great day today. He had a couple of deflections that ended up being picked off, but also threw a bad pass early in the game when they were still trying to dig themselves out of that early deficit. Brady did not play well. Now, you can blame a little bit that on the loss of Wes Welker, but for the most part, it wasn't that the weapons weren't there so much as
time was an issue, too.
Time was an issue, and when he finally did get some time, he didn't connect on a lot of his passes. We know Brady is not a 100%, but that's still not an excuse. This was a team-wide debacle today, coaching-wise, offensively, defensively, and again, you see that 234 up there. The Ravens told you what they were going to do. We're just going to line up and run the football. Can you stop us? And for the course of 60 minutes of football, the Patriots knew it was coming, couldn't stop it.
Belichick is an interesting guy. We can all agree on that. What are your thoughts about Bill as far as a personnel guy this year, as some of the coaching decisions that he made this year? You touched on it earlier. Has some of the bloom come off the rose?
Well, first of all, so nice to see Bill gracious in defeat once again. That was so nice. No, but I mean, you look back at the decisions that he made this year, specifically personnel-wise. What I was talking about, it's time to look inward in this franchise and maybe change some things up. In the offseason, he traded both Richard Seymour and Mike Vrabel. Now, if they had both Seymour and Vrabel, would they have given up 235 yards on the ground? Who knows? But still, those are two big pieces to stopping the run. He traded those guys away because contracts are coming up. They don't like to pay down in Foxborough. Well, it might be time to start thinking about, you know what, we got to hold on to some guys. Number one priority, Vince Wilfork. Yeah, even with Wilfork today, they couldn't stop the run. But still, you can't blame that on one of the best run stoppers and a Pro Bowler perennially in Vince Wilfork. For Belichick, I think it's time to start looking inside of who are the priorities you want to keep, and then who are the guys that you think you can recycle through and get through the draft, free agency, etc. It was pretty obvious today, though. Talent gap down there on the field, and how about emotionally and intensity-wise? Right out of the gate, it just was that the Patriots couldn't match the Ravens' intensity. They couldn't do it right from the outset. Turnovers, big stops, touchdown by Ray Rice, 83 yards, 24-0 before they even blinked. The Ravens came out with a different intensity, and that does go to coaching, and it does go to captaincy and leadership. And this was a locker room that didn't have a lot of captaincy and didn't have a lot of leadership.
Yeah, Randy Moss, we'll talk about him later. That's one of the veteran guys, should be a leader on your team. 5 catches, 48 yards. Didn't have a catch until, I think, halfway through the second quarter. Much more.